Welcome back, Guardians. And this video is about something I've kind of been avoiding this entire time. There are a lot of videos about it. It's a very popular subject back then when Destiny was just a little baby. But that is, of course, the Vault of Glass. The elusive and mystical Vault of Glass that everyone thought was the coolest thing. And when you first did it, you kind of thought to yourself, how long was that? And you also probably said that was the craziest thing you've ever done, and I wish Destiny was more like this. But all nostalgia aside, we all know the names Khabar, Praedyth, and if you have been subscribed to me for a long time, you might know Pahanin. These were the three original people to delve into the Vault of Glass. Now, I'm not going to go too much into Pahanin. There's already a video about him. He's the one who made super good advice. You can go ahead and see that. So in the Vault of Glass, you may know that the Vex have control over many things. They have control over reality. In particular, they can control time and space, and they can also erase you from existence. It's a very scary place. Why do we go in? It's for good loot. But those are the real risks within the Vault of Glass. The fire team of 3 did not get very far within the Vault of Glass, however. They only got up to the Templar, which, as you know, is pretty much the beginning. Looking back at it now, we may say that the Vault of Glass is very easy. We may say that the Templar is one of the easier bosses out there, and he does not require much work. A little bit of communication and some cooperation among the fire team, but that's because we have 6, and also we have a thing called an Aegis shield, or Aegis, whichever way you want to pronounce things, I really don't care. This shield not only breaks down the shield of the Templar, it also shields you and cleanses you, and it does a lot. It's pretty much the most helpful key in the Templar fight. Without it, most people would probably die and be erased from existence. It's pretty simple. But Khabar, Praedyth, and Pahanin tried to do this without knowing that there was a way to break the Templar shield. They thought it was impenetrable. So the entire time they were down there, they were constantly fighting Vex, because they were constantly being pulled through time, because that is where reality is under control of the Vex, and they can constantly bring more Vex from the future and the past to then. So there's pretty much an infinite supply of Vex. You can never really run out of Vex there. Along the way of fighting, Khabar decides to take the armor of the Vex that he finds to be pretty interesting and decides to forge armor with it. Although this makes him a lot stronger, it also corrupts his mind, makes him more paranoid. It also sends him into this deep depression of loneliness, and this is what ultimately is the end of him. We all know that he dies, but he died a very lonely death, and that's why Pahanin made super good advice to never be alone. Remember, that video is still out there. But one of the most selfless acts that Khabar did was that he sacrificed his own light to create this Aegis shield. In Khabar's last words, he said this: "I have destroyed myself to do this. They have taken my ghost, they have taken my blood and brain. But now there is hope. I have made a wound in the vault. I have pierced it and let in the light. Bathe in it and be cleansed. Look to it and understand. From my own light and from the thinking flesh of the Vex, I made a shield. The shield is your deliverance. It will break the unbreakable. It will change your fate. Bind yourself to the shield. Bind yourself to me. And if you abandon your purpose, let the vault consume you, as it consumed me. Now it is done. If I speak again, I am not Khabar." The only things left to Khabar are his armor and his legacy. Battle Cage of Khabar, Khabar's Brazen Grips, Khabar's Wrath, and Khabar's Forceful Greaves. Each of them come with their own little story that puts together the entire story I've completely lengthened out for this video. Khabar fought the Vex alone, but somehow they didn't kill him. He consumed the technology like fire, fashioning armor from the remnants. In the aftermath, he became obsessed with the machines. He was claimed by the Vault. His armor and myth are all that remain. Unfortunately, Khabar did die. He succumbed to the oracles. But he was not erased. Unfortunately, Praedyth also succumbed to the oracles. But unlike Khabar, where he was quick and clean and dead, Praedyth was sent to wander. He was lost in time, erased from existence. For a long period of time, people did not know the name of Praedyth. People also remembered that this fire team was of 2, not of 3. So now you're getting the idea that Praedyth was completely erased from existence altogether. He was actually sent back in time, as you've learned in the recent Paradox mission, where you'll find his bones. Spoiler alert, I'm sorry if you haven't played. You first come across this mission as your ghost picks up a message from Praedyth himself. As you fight through Taken, you discover Praedyth's corpse, long dead, trapped very deep within the Vault of Glass. If you actually do trigger the Daily Heroic, which is the secret part of it, it is revealed that Praedyth still exists as a ghost. He originally worked for Future War Cult, and he has a custom-made shell. You'll actually obtain this shell, and you will get an exotic weapon out of it. Back when Guardians were still entering the Vault of Glass, you'll know that the end boss is Atheon. Because all of the Guardians had completely destroyed Atheon and everything in the path, many people have come by, or many enemies you want to say, have come by and tried to seize the power of the vault for themselves. One of these people being Skolos, where he tried and actually succeeded in tapping into the network, but he attempted to pull the entire House of Wolves through time. It failed. Talking about Paradox, another attempt to seize the vault was Oryx. He was also proved to be a much greater threat, as you do know. What Oryx did was he utilized and corrupted Axis mind Morphon, the boss that you face, for this task. The Vex believed that this would have truly meant the end for the Vex. Oryx would have access to and infected the entire Vex conflicts network until they realized that they could trick the Guardians into entering the vault and stop the taken for them. This is how the Paradox completely started. The Vex tricked you, the Guardian, into stopping Morphon and actually helping the Vex take down Oryx. It's a pretty insane thought when you think about it. You actually fought alongside the Vex, for if it wasn't for that, the Vex not only would be destroyed, but Oryx having that power in his hands would lead to much more devastation. The entire Vex conflicts network. Now that would truly be a boss to defeat. Hopefully this opened your eyes just how devastating and scary the Vex are. Even though the Vex weren't the main subject of this entire video, it's more or less about Khabar and Praedyth Paradox is in another video, and also Oryx. Oryx seems to always find his way into these videos nowadays. But to recap, the Vault of Glass is where the Vex have control over reality and can pretty much erase you from your existence and all memories of anyone has of you. Khabar has its own story. I didn't go much into it because it's a very famous one, and there's many other videos out there that cover him, and it's kind of just overkill if I were to do one. I feel like Praedyth's story isn't quite over yet. It's very vague. He's just a warlock from the future war cult that just so happened to be sent back in time, and you just uncover his bones because he was sent so far back, he died, and his flesh just rot. No armor though, which is surprising. Although I think it did say, I might have misread that his soul is in his ghost. I'm not sure. But anyway guys, that's been for me. Hope you guys enjoyed. Hope the next time you do the vault, which might be never, you'll think about just how dangerous that place is. These oracles can pretty much just erase you, and the Templar is only able to be defeated because of Khabar. But you guys, or you Guardians, pretty much defeated Atheon on your own. Maybe with a couple strategies on YouTube, but other than that, you did it. So I hope to see you guys in the next one. Later, Guardians.